Castle Grayskull?
No, man, I didn't get Castle Grayskull. I did the Walmart, right? And Walmart, it still never canceled my order, but it's not going to ever send my order, so I don't know what to do.
I had it on Walmart,
mm-hmm.
and I backed it up on Big Bad Toy Store just in case.
I don't know. I think when I went to go look at Big Bad Toy Store, I think it was like, I feel sold out because it's not on my list. So I'm not too sure if I missed it or
it's still there. You should go look. Yeah. But anyway, long story short, Walmart sent it to me, so I've got it. But
you got it from Walmart, really? You gotta be like the first person ever to actually get it from Walmart.
On Clamp Champ at Target, which I was just like he's my favorite, so I looked everywhere, and I had him on order at Big Bad Toy Store, and like they're like, everybody's like, oh, he's in stock, they're shipping, and mine's still like on pre-order.
It's weird, like with the Clamp Champ through Big Bad Toy Store, I noticed there are people who did the loot order and they got it. Like I noticed people who did their loot order got.
What is a loop order? I don't know what that is.
Well, you do Big Bad Toy Store, you're a cheap fuck.
Oh, your pile of loot. Okay, yeah. I thought you said loop, like loop.
Well, that's an accent of mine. That's fancy, beautiful. All the
those loops.
It's like you loot. What's a ute? You know, it's. but well, with that, I've been recording for a bit, so let's jump into this intro. I'm gonna keep that. I might put some of that at the end. Hey guys, I'm Rob Bass, and I'm weird. I wanted to be a side by side, but my phone. I'm shooting on my phone, so I'm a little thumbnail. So I can only imagine what this looks like. If you even see me, if I do that, then I see myself. That's great. Now I see John. I can see myself. I can see John. This is wonderful. The professionalism on this. I just want a split screen. What the fuck? Anyway, guys, I'm Rob Bass, and I'm here with the almighty. I haven't talked to you in forever.
The almighty, Jesus.
The almighty one.
We haven't talked in a while. Like, it's been a minute and a half.
It's so funny. So earlier today when we decided, we talked yesterday. I texted you yesterday, let's do this. And you're like, okay, yeah, give me a little bit. I'm like, cool. Do you know the King Tut song by Steve Martin?
Oh, of course I do, yeah.
I started going, John Faust. I'm walking through the rooms, and I'm putting stuff away. I'm like, John Faust, dun, putting the Japanese candy away, John Faust. Like I was just doing that like an idiot because we went out today in the Japanese store and we bought all this Japanese candy and drinks and shit. So I was like putting the shit away, completely dad mode, making up lyrics to shit, using your name, but with the King Tut. Don't ask me where the fuck the King Tut came from, but that's what I did. So today, it's been a while since we talked about Master stuff. I mean, we message each other. We all go, oh, shit, check this out. But we haven't officially sat and talked. Yeah. And we're doing best to do I'm going to try to get the screen sharing option up and show my folder. I don't know what the hell's in my folder, so I'm kind of scared.
We got a lot to go through today, too, so.
Yeah. I guess the first thing I want to talk about is let's get the cartoon show out of the way. Let's get that done. That was a big deal. Finally, Kevin Smith has finally just started saying, hey, let's say, hey, there's a cartoon that's we've been supposedly working on all this time. Let's say it's going to drop some images soon, and maybe a cartoon might show up. And then all of a sudden, literally after he says that, of course, how it works, Entertainment Weekly got the exclusive images. So you saw them?
I did see them, and they look phenomenal. So if you're fans of Castlevania on Netflix, it's the same kind of artwork. I'm really excited. And, you know, they've clearly taken a cue from the original Filmation series, but there's some 2000X vibes going on too. So, I mean, it's been elevated a little bit, and, you know, it's going to have its own style. And, you know, some people may love that, some people may hate it, but I just kind of try and look at it as we've got new media coming out, and I'm super excited about that.
It doesn't get canceled. Look at that. Like, we're going to do a movie. No, we're not. Every time there's a movie, for the last 20 years, we've been hearing like, hey, there's a script development. Like, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the movie when it's in the theaters. Don't give me that shit. And now they're saying, Thor is just talking. Like, shut the fuck up. You stop it. Just stop.
I gotta say, one of the things I'm most excited about is Kevin did some Instagram or something Twitter post a while ago, and he he played the music of the transformation sequence.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna butcher this guy's name, Bear McCreary.
That sounds about right. Sure.
Okay, I'm a huge fan of his music because he did the stuff Black Sails, Outlander, Battlestar Galactica. Let's see what else. Let's see what else he's done. My Baby's Daddy. Wrong Turn 2, Dead End. So he's got some street cred. Let's put it that way.
Well, forget about that. Just the idea that the cast and the music and all the people working on the show, first out, high list A-listers, in TV, movies, whatever, you name it.
Yeah.
Forget about naming the cast because we've talked about that before. We know who's in this cast. We know who this cast is. But what's amazing for us to see is that at the end of the day, here we go. Now we know the music composer is got such credibility. Kevin, I think everybody, Kevin, being the fan that he is of pop culture, really brings something. And people would piss me off when people like say, "Oh, Kevin Smith, Clerks and bullshit." Have you never read his comics? When Kevin wrote the Green Arrow comics, when he was doing that, it opened up with this beautiful shot. It's Superman and Batman standing on a roof during a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse. And what happens is, we know Superman's power comes straight from the sun. So the sun is blocked and Superman feels cold for like one of the very first times. And there's this great dialogue between Superman blowing frost and feeling a little cold, and Bruce realizing like, oh shit, this is like this moment, and it humanized Superman in one shot, and having Batman and Superman feel like equals. It was such a great moment, written so well. Like, people need to go read those books, and like those comics shows his ability to write characters.
Yeah,
Kevin as a lead. Co-write now, the people, of course, Kevin's not writing the show by himself. He's working on it with people who know masters.
Yeah.
So you're taking the guys who know masters with a guy who knows how to tell human story elements, and you're going to have a show that's going to be great. Yes, the Castlevania thing. Let me tell you, one of my guys, he works on my website, Julian. We have our wrestling podcast together. I get a message. He's like, "Yo, I know you've seen this, but what do you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, it looks great." He's like, "Because it looks very Castlevania-like." I'm like, "Well, there's a reason for that, because that's the studio." He's like, "I knew it," because that's great, because he loves the Castlevania series. He didn't know this, but now he wants to watch it because of that. So now you're going to have fans that just love the art house studio of the anime style will go into this. Then you have the people who are shitting on it, and we have to address it, because if we don't address the people shitting on properties, that would be what kind of a YouTube video if people don't bitch, right? One, of course, right away, here we go again, is about the way the women look. And I feel that this is wrong this time around, and it makes me disgusted, because I can understand you guys don't like the She-Ra, because everyone in the She-Ra just looked weird and they had a unique style. It's all based on the artwork of the creator of that show. Whereas this are strong women, and they're very beautiful looking. Yeah. They have a great look. Yeah, but they didn't skip leg day. Big fucking deal. This is a fantasy warrior story. This is Masters of the Universe. Yeah. This is not,
So this is my personal opinion, and it's just it is what it is. But I think maybe I'm hanging around the wrong people, but I see a lot of people complaining. And I'm sorry, but you go and look at their Facebook page and it's TNA everywhere. And they like this hyper anime, hyper sexualized thing. And I don't agree with that. I mean, I loved the new She-Ra cartoon, but I also understand updating for a new audience, a new aesthetic, a new social environment. This is not the 70s and 80s anymore. You don't have... And you shouldn't have these hyper-sexualized women. I think the again, this is my opinion, but I think that it's time for women to. I think the armor's cool, and I think the design aesthetic needs to be different. I think it needs to be updated, and
But these are the same people that are in love
you
with
know,
are in love with the character of Laura Dune, which was the name of the character from Mandalorian, right? That was
yeah.
what's her name? What was
The
her name?
one who turned out to be an asshole.
Right. But she was still great in the part. I'm never gonna say, oh my God, I will never watch Mandalorian again because she's in it. No, she was great in the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
That's the problem. We have to learn to separate. You know what? I still love Usual Suspects with Kevin Spacey, and
Yeah.
Alec and Baldwin. Who was the Baldwin? Billy Baldwin or Alec Baldwin? No, not Alec. It was the youngest Stephen Baldwin.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, but they all became nuts. But I still watched the movie going, I love this movie. I still watch Beetlejuice, and we all know what the hell, what's his name turned into? The guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He played the father who bought the
Oh
house.
yeah.
Wow, I forget his name. He was also in Ed Wood, and then he became this biggest fucking horrible pedophile. I still love those movies. I have to learn to separate the human from the character. So as long as I don't go back and still support him, I'm cool. Like, I won't go, yeah, I want him back in the movie now. Dude, he was in Amadeus. He was in everything. He was a great fucking actor. He fucked himself up because he's a piece of shit. Same deal with the character who played Laura Dune. Hey, you know what? Maybe she'll bounce back. Who knows? I guarantee you they'll bounce her back. But here's my thing. They have no problem with her. And she's a badass, tough, not TNA type of chick. She's not showing off her body.
Right.
She's tough. They have no problem with that. But here we go. Tila still shows off her fucking legs, still shows off her arms. But now, because they're a little more muscular, oh my God, they look like a butch. They look like a lesbian. I'm like, a chick that weighs 25 pounds and it's all tits is not picking up a battle axe and swinging it with any. In an anime, I've had one of my favorite complete fan service animes is called Queen's Blade. It's a really crazy, hyper sexualized fantasy barbarian. There's like a Cleopatra chick, and they battle. They got giant swords beyond it, but their boobs are like this big. But it's fan service, and we know what it is because it's meant to be for adults. It's meant to be just borderline adult erotic, but at the same time, it's a cool story. It's fantasy. It's cool. It's fan service. Now we're watching He-Man making a show, and yeah, Tila is the captain of the guard. If she can't legitimately hold an axe or sword and fight, you're not going to believe the character.
Okay, I just think I have a feeling that there are some people that just can't let the property evolve into.
Yeah. But that is also, unfortunately, Kevin Smith words were used very wrong if you're stupid. And what I mean by this is Kevin said, this is going to continue on from the Filmation show. No one ever said it was going to look like the Filmation. Right. And it should not look like Filmation because, no disrespect, as much people love Filmation, it's rotoscoped. It was real people drawn over because it was cheaper and faster to rotoscope and reuse scenes. You legitly, James Eatock legitly made a cartoon show based with all reused footage that was no different than half the episodes of Filmation. Matter of fact, Filmation even reused scenes from Black Star to put in He-Man because they didn't have enough, they couldn't animate fast enough and to get original characters. That's why, the shot between my favorite Filmation thing of all time, because it's so used to death, is the shot where you see the character, but between the people's legs.
Yeah.
That's in every fucking episode. Oh, now between Tila's legs, now between Man-at-Arm's legs, now between He-Man's legs. Oh my God, I get it. It's not high noon. Not every shot has to be like that. But it was easier and cheaper to read. So I'm not mad at that. Now we have a studio that can tell good original art. Yes, what they should do is, yes, you know what what he should have said with this is Magic Filmation in 2000X, okay? The story is taking place after the events that you saw in the beginning of those shows. And because you don't need to establish who He-Man is. I'm pretty much sure you're not going to see, hey, I'm Adam. And you're not going to see that bullshit. You're not going to need to explain
King I don't know. We might.
Maybe like opening credits that'll be an homage. Maybe.
Right.
But you don't need to do establishing episodes to explain the history because we've already seen it.
But see, I completely understand where you're coming from. and as fans, yeah, we get it. But if they're trying to bring in a new audience, um, I don't know. Was there going to be comic books or something that kind of laid the
Yes.
groundwork?
I
Okay.
did the prequel I did, yeah, the comic books they were showing artwork for. It looks like they might be prequel.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm thinking about the show, just to begin with. This is how my brain, and from what Kevin said, and kind of piecing things together. I think I think it's a 12 to 13 episode arc for the first season. Netflix doesn't go more than that normally. I think the first 5 episodes is going to be He-Man doing a thing, or after Skeletor is doing a thing. Skeletor gets the power sword, becomes the ultimate power. He-Man disappears, and we flash forward to a bit. And now it's Tila with Evil Lyn, and Roboto with the poncho, and Orko not
I
missing
think that's a
fucking.
fucking cool look. I don't know why I think the poncho on Roboto looks so
I
cool.
actually am going to. I looked on Fig Lot makes ponchos for 12-inch action figures. So I'm going to get the 2000X Roboto head, put it on a buck body for Origins, and put the poncho over it, and give him the Roboto arms, and just do like that poncho look.
So we kind of talked about the cartoon. Let's talk about the
Figure.
multiverse
Yeah.
figures of the cartoon. What are your thoughts on all that?
I don't need them. I don't need them because
We don't need any of this, but
okay. What I mean by that is I got Origins right now and I'm going hard into it. If I wanted something that was like classics, I would just get my classics.
yeah.
Because classics are superior to what I've seen. These are $20 a figure. Well, for $5 cheaper, I'm getting more fun out of the toys. I still don't think I don't know what is up with Mattel end of this. They have not ever delivered a face on He-Man that has been acceptable. And I don't know, maybe it's the product and the package image, but let's be real. Origins He-Man head, they're like, oh no, it might be better in final product. No, it looked exactly like the prototype picture. So it's like, I'm pretty sure what we saw there in package is the He-Man's head. It's not terrible, but the plastic does look cheap on the face. But with that being said, Evil Lyn looks fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Even look amazing. Morseman, if this is based on the Revelation series, which it is, Kevin is a big comic book head. Morseman is completely based on Alan Moore's Swamp Thing from the 1970s. And
Yeah.
you see that. It's Swamp Thing. And there's nothing wrong with it being Swamp Thing, but let's call it what it is. It's Swamp Thing, not Morseman. And Battle Cat's okay. The Skeletor looks great. I think it like looks 2000X. Like you
Yeah.
said, there's the 2000X elements there. I
See,
love they got
here's
rid
the
of the
thing.
cross.
I don't mind He-Man's head. Skeletor's head bugs me a little bit.
See, I don't mind. It just doesn't. It looks very more like the.
I mean, I
2000X.
like all of them. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not shitting on anything and saying, "Oh, they need to retool this and all this stuff." But
Ain't
I mean,
gonna
if
happen.
you're nitpicking, I mean,
Well, yes, yeah, you have every right to make your opinion.
I love He-Man's new armor. I like the H instead of the
Yeah.
cross.
You know what?
I mean, because I like the battle armor thing is my favorite, and I'm just glad that they took that design. And I don't know, I like it better.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. The H needed to happen because we need to have something we can logo around. And people forget that, like, oh, I need the Iron Cross back. It's what we had when we were kids. Yeah, but some people in this
We
country
also had
fucked
the
that up.
A team when we were kids too, so
18 was great. I have no problem with the 18. I'm more
not the A team, the H.
Oh, yeah, we did have the H in it. That came later. But the original people know He-Man because of the cartoon show. Cartoon show never did the H, the battle armor. Never did that.
Yeah.
So my thing is that at the same time is that like a branding. The branding, everyone always thinks about the Master Universe logo. But the truth is, most people who don't know Master Universe, if you say Master Universe, there's some layperson, they don't know until say, He-Man. And they go, oh, He-Man. So if you can have an identified, like Batman, 89 Batman logo is iconic. And it of all the years, it took till then to get a proper Batman logo that they can own. Superman always had the shield emblem, but like, Batman had different bat logos.
Yeah.
So He-Man needed a logo that was identifiable. Skeletor, his armor is iconic. The frillies and the crossbones.
The frillies.
Well, I don't know.
I-
The fringes. I guess they're fringes, is what they
Yeah.
are. When my brain thinks fringes, I think like in the 80s and shit. We have all that stuff and it was
Yeah.
terrible. We get caught in doorknobs and shit. Oh, the 80s were terrible. I just remember having a leather MC with the fringes, and I got caught one day, and I was like, I'm cutting these fuckers off. So I could imagine poor Skeletor had more, and he would get caught in Snake Mountain all the time. Like, fuck, he's stuck and shit. And so he couldn't do it, right? So, what a tangent. But I feel like Skeletor was always an iconic look. It was a very cool, it had that look. He-Man, on the other hand, he had the Iron Cross, but no one would look at that and see it. They just knew his name.
Yeah.
So I feel that now having this proper, and it's something that's been played with in 2000X, has been played with in the comics, especially having this type of an H logo. They've been really feeling out how to make it. And I think, that's the best part. It looks absolutely fantastic. I always thought the 2000X one was pretty cool because it wasn't like an Iron Cross. It was like, we're just going to throw extra things. So, like people like, that's not a SWAT stick. If we just turn it and we add some more things, now it's a flower. It's like, and that's why I feel like doing the 2000X. I think that there's a good balance, but I really feel that people are going to I think were mad what Kevin had mentioned at PowerCon. Was it 2019 where he said like, "Oh no, Tila's gonna be a big part of it," and people start getting mad. What happened to He-Man? I'm like, well, he was trying to give away without ruining shit. Was that half the arc is gonna be He-Man, Skeletor gets the power, He-Man goes missing. Maybe he gets thrown into another dimension. They can't get to him, or void. And now it's been some time has passed, and now Evil Lynn realized Skeletor's out of his fucking mind. I'm going to help you guys because I want to bring him back to who he was. We need to find He-Man. We need to get the troops together. And Tila has to take the reins because she needs to.
Yeah.
And I'm interested about the new character that's next to her, the African dark skinned female who's next to her. I want to know who she is.
Yeah.
She looks amazing.
Yeah, she looks amazing.
I mean, it's one fucking image. I'm like, I would not fuck with any of these people. I wouldn't even fuck with Orko in that image. Like Orko straight up was like, what? And I'm like, did Orko just flex? Because I ain't messing with that shit. Like he's straight up flexing. I'm like, I'm not messing with Orko. He's flexing. But there's so much people are curious that they didn't see Men at Arms coming out first, and I'm like, well, I think there's a reason for this. I feel that.
I mean, I do too. The thing is, everybody wants it to. That's the thing. Let the story evolve. Let there be some surprises. Let it gestate a little bit, and have that childlike sense of wonder when it comes out, and let's see what happens.
This is what when we were watching the Marvel shows, we all would speculate, but then Marvel's like, well, calm down. We're doing something different, but it's going to remind you of stuff. I feel this is going to be the same thing. We're going to have images like, okay, Man-at-Arms might be there. You'd be surprised. Something can happen. Who knows? They might kill him off. People love to kill off Man-at-Arms, especially Scott Knight. Like he loved to fucking murder Man-at-Arms. And I feel like, where we're going to be in the story is where it needs to be evolved. Obviously, I don't see King Hiss. I don't see Snake Man. I don't see Horde. But we saw 6 images. That's it.
Yeah.
We see Beastman. Beastman looks badass. Battlecat looks great. He-Man looks good. Having Roboto was such a unique thing to see.
Yeah.
And I that got me. Like you said, we're idiots. Like throw a poncho. I'm like, I'm done. I'm on it. That's cool.
But it's you don't want to just give it all away either. Just because we don't see it in the first promotional images doesn't mean that it's not, So I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. I think people need to calm the fuck down.
It's true. I mean, people, I think the fandom just gets so excited, and there's so many more new fans now.
I love it that people are getting excited, but being excited and then turning that into anger, I see that happening way too much.
Okay, there is a thin line between happiness and rage when it comes to being fanboys. And, I do have to admit that sometimes we all kind of get a little nuts. We try to at least pretend like we're cool with it.
Not me. I never go crazy and
rage. Yeah, we all rage.
See a figure in the store and I'm like, God damn it, I'm just gonna buy this just because it's there. Nobody else can have it.
But you do it in like that's in the back of your head, but in the front of your head, like, I feel bad. I'm taking this. I want this. This is mine. Don't look at me. But I feel that, like, I noticed in my head, like, something happened recently. I didn't want to be the gatekeeper, but I had to say, how can I write this in the Facebook group without sounding like an asshole? That the first thing in your brain is like, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I'm going to be an asshole because I want you to learn. What happened was someone posted like, hey,
I want you to learn.
What classics figure do you want to see next in the line? And I'm sitting there going, he means the vintage line. He doesn't mean Master Universe Classics line. So I wrote, hey, every time someone writes this, my brain goes Master Universe Classics, not the vintage line. But that I said, with my mind, my gatekeeping mind set aside, Deluxe Rio Blast. I'm just saying. I was like, because I couldn't, like, I had to find a way, like, no, you can't say classics here because we had Master Universe Classics. That's a whole line.
Yeah.
The problem is this guy who wrote this has not seen 2000X. He has not seen the New Adventures, so he doesn't know any of this. He says he had them as a kid. Now he's excited now.
Yeah.
So I have to not get mad because that was Mattel's goal. Mattel achieved their goal. There's thousands of new people in these Facebook groups. They've never seen any of these things. They never heard of PowerCon. They never heard of 2000X. They've never seen He-Man. They didn't know that didn't even exist. They knew it was a meme on YouTube, and that was it. They've never seen anything since. And it's so weird. Like, how can you live and not, if you say you're a fan, how could you not be aware that this stuff existed? And then you realize, you know what? People live their own lives.
Yeah.
Maybe they were doing their own shit. Maybe they, you know what? I've seen in the last couple of years so many people who had stopped being a toy collector, or maybe they weren't a toy collector. They had toys as kids, but they felt they grew out of it. And then now they're like, oh, I can still have that. All right, I'm gonna start. I'll pick up a Funko Pop. I'll get toys. I can leave it on my desk at work. And all of a sudden, now they're buying fucking Cobra fucking Island out toys. And now they're grabbing shit and they're losing their mind. And it's cute because it's like we've just introduced all these people to crack. And it's kind of like, oh, I love to see you drug addicts first become druggies. It's cute. Because I've been in there for the long goal. And I'm like, yeah, there's no game no more. I'm done in this. I'm in this shit, So it's funny. So you have to.
Oh, speaking of crack, I guess I should show you this since it may have been a while. Okay, that's a table.
Nice.
There's Zodak up there.
Oh, you're talking about the box?
Oh yeah, of course I did.
You should have videoed it, made a video. Did you not? You didn't do that. You did not. I didn't see that.
Did.
You know what's pissing me off?
Fucking fully did.
I
told you about it too, I think.
Well, you told me that you opened it, but I didn't know that you filmed it. Because, like, here's the problem. If you posted it on the site, YouTube's been pissing me off because I edit all Will's videos and I am subscribed. Every video he's been posting, I have not fucking seen a notification at all. And I'm like, I have notification on for you and Will so I can share it on my Facebook page and on my website. I want to make it. I'm just going to say, fuck this. I'm going to use if this, then that, and just tell them, go grab your channels and put it on my site because I can't, it's not letting me know. YouTube is not letting me know. And it's pissing me off. Tangent aside, cool. I can't wait to see more. So I guess the next thing we should talk about, is let's go into PowerCon figures. The new figures are cool. They're coming out, I guess, in the summer, whenever they're coming. A couple of cool figures with not the PowerCon, but Masterverse stuff. Let's quickly wrap that up, I guess. My thing is that it's cool. I'm not ready to jump into it, especially if I don't know if it has compatible parts, if it has, I just feel like McFarlane's been making a lot of 7-inch action figures, and you have NECA, and you have all these people making really high-end stuff. Mattel's attempt does not look as good at the same price point as McFarlane stuff on NECA. I think that's my problem. They're good if McFarlane's new DC line and all that stuff and NECA stuff never existed. If those two toy lines didn't exist,
first of all, I'm all in. I'm all fucking in. Mattel's got me hook, line, and sinker. But I will spend let's go with the Defenders of the Earth stuff. That's NECA, and I wanted that stuff so bad, and I found it. NECA stuff is absolute trash.
I
They
will stop
look
you there.
good,
I want to stop
but
you there.
they're absolutely trash.
They do not have the longest shelf life. It's true. I agree. I agree. They don't have the shelf life. The things break. But what do I own that's NECA that I've kept? That's a
I've got the Gremlin
Huh?
stuff, and I've got the Defenders of the Earth stuff. I may have some other little bits and bobs, but
I still have
they.
I have Big Bad Toy Store. I'm waiting for them to get me my Phantom. That's all I ordered because I'm just a weirdo for Phantom. I like Phantom. It's one of my favorite comic strip superhero characters.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for that to exist in my house. But other than that, I'm trying to think of anything NECA I have, and I don't. I had reviewed their Predator stuff. I had. Did they do any RoboCop? Yes, I have all the RoboCop figures from NECA.
Okay.
So yeah, I do have NECA stuff, and they actually hold up pretty well. The dog, the Terminator RoboCop, and standard RoboCop, and their Ed 209 was really cool. It just pissed me off that the Ed 209 didn't have two working like non because the Ed 209 they made was supposed to be like the movie, the first movie. So like RoboCop broke the one gun arm.
Yeah.
Instead of giving us an interchangeable gun arm, they say it's fucking broken. It happened in the movie, and that's what they give you.
The thing that pisses me off so much is like you will put the NECA figures on the NECA stands, and those fuckers will still fall over.
So funny, people buy the NECA stands for the Master Universe Origins figures, and they work great apparently. So it's meant for small figures.
Master of the Universe Origins, I haven't used it on the Origins, but the classics, that was the thing I had the problem with the classics, is if they had capes or anything that made them even slightly top heavy, they would fall over.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I'm hoping that that's kind of my litmus test for figures. If they, and that's why I love the Origins figures, is so far, knock on wood, they stand up. Even Clamp Champ with his big thing, that sounded like something I would say.
It's completely correct, though. It is a big thing. Go on.
So, but they stand up. You can, and that's what the articulation is so good, is because you can get them positioned in such a way that you can manipulate their center of gravity. If a figure can't stand up and be displayed, and they keep falling over, and there's potential for them to break, it just pisses me off.
On a collector's end, like I can't get mad at vintage masters because they weren't meant to be on a shelf. They were meant to be.
If they're vintage, that's one thing. There's ways to deal with that. You either replace their rubber bands, or you can put them in the little doll holder thing. Right. If they're vintage, that's fine. If they're brand new out of the box and they can't stand up, I've got an issue with that.
Yeah, and that's a problem with a lot of the Master Universe classics had that problem. They didn't really stand great. I didn't really display many. Actually, I never displayed full of shit. I never displayed any. I'd have like one or two. Like the ones I just reviewed, I'd have those on a shelf. They're like, oh, Ziploc bag, put it in a bun. I'm like, that's what I was like, damn, man, like, how am I collecting for? It's going in a fucking bin.
Yeah.
The only thing
I see people bitch and moan about classics. It's like they should have continued classics and blah, blah. And I mean, I get it. They were beautifully designed. But I mean, they had some issues. I mean, don't pretend they didn't. So
you see, that's the thing, that the people that were there for classics during all for the beginning and the white screen of death to like, oh god, not coming out and swapped shoulders, and like I can, I used to make fun of people bitching then, but I think about like, man, those figures were more money. I would be more mad at that than anything with the Origins, because most of that stuff is swappable. And if you told Mattel, hey, this is 2 right feet, they just send you it. Like they legitimately would just replace it. I've heard one person yet who not got to Mattel and got their replacements. Classics, on the other hand, that wasn't going to happen. Like, you really weren't getting replacements unless something was severely, severely wrong. And we went through a lot of that, and there was some issues. I think a lot of people's problem is they were looking at prototypes and they would complain that it didn't look like the final product. And that shit used to piss me off with the classics fans. Like, stop it, man. It's never going to look like the final product.
Right.
And you know what?
Those are hand painted prototypes. So, I mean,
And at the same time, Scott would show extra things and he couldn't do it, and people would get mad. Dude, you were paying $25 then, and that shit should have been $30. he had to remove some items. But guess what? Every item that he removed, for the most part, he put back in eventually. It all showed up. Even after he left, and we got the head pack, because there was extra heads that were never released, and they did release them as a head pack. And they swore they were never going to do a head pack because it'd be weird having heads in a box. It's like, no, Scott, just be truthful and say Mattel doesn't want to give you the money for it. Like, just be, listen, he can't say that because he works for the company at the time. There's a lot of shit you can't say. Like, the truth is, like, his hands were tied. Cool. You know what, though? It lasted up until now. Classics. You know, Super 7 took over. They did the best they could. As best as they could, they made it happen while giving the fans everything they could for figures that nobody wanted. And that is what I mean. The fans that were diehards started dwindling. You know, I always wanted Lodar. I didn't buy him because I wasn't getting the Super 7 ones. I just couldn't do it. You know, they added unique characters. They really try for the waves that they have to add characters that they want to help the fans finish off. And they didn't have to. Super 7 had no responsibility to promise fans anything.
Yeah.
Because they weren't the people who made the first waves. They just got the license when it was dying. Mattel's like, we don't want this shit. You do it. That's how they treated us. And that's what people forget. Mattel didn't give us, Super 7 didn't save us. Super 7 was thrown like the bones from a steak dinner. And said, hey, there's a little meat on there. You can have that.
Let's move on.
let's get to the PowerCon. Man, I rant too much. So let's go to the PowerCon exclusive. So they showed off several sets. Let's talk about I want to talk about the add-on first because that's a big deal. You got Castle Grayskull, obviously. So we got the
super stupid excited about it.
Okay, and so tell people what is the set that you're getting with that.
So there's 3 separate sets you're gonna get at PowerCon. There is an add-on for Castle Grayskull. So the Castle Grayskull that we got for Origins does not have the suit of armor or the robot that was originally a cardboard cutout. And for Classics, it was kind of a hollowed out kind of shell that you sat in. Now we're getting a fully articulated figure of this robot suit of armor, whatever it is, that will go.
Well, it's kind of like is it kind of like a robotic astronaut outfit kind of thing?
Yeah. So whatever, it's this suit of armor astronaut outfit thing that always stood in the corner. Yeah. So I don't know that we've ever gotten a full explanation on what it is, but it's cool. And now we're getting an articulated figure that, goes with Castle Grayskull.
Basically, you're saying right there that it's a first time ever fully articulated astronaut robot dude.
Yeah.
And
so it's going to be an Origins action figure fully articulated like the rest of them of this design.
Now you've looked at it, you know the cardboard cutout, it. Do you have the Classics castle?
Yeah.
So I've
had like when you say the Classics, do you mean the vintage or the Master of the Universe Classics?
Universe Classics.
Yeah, I did. I sold it because it was too big.
It's that and massive. Well, I'll push you. All right, 3, 2, 1. So that was the shell, and you obviously have the vintage one with the cardboard cutout. How does this figure look compared to the cutout and the Classics version? What do you think from what the image you see?
I mean, like Origins is very colorful, and they've kind of heightened some of the color design. This is no different. If you look at the cardboard cutout for the vintage Castle Grayskull, those colors are very muted, and it's very much like the original mini comics, if you will.
Right. It just they didn't know what it was doing. Let's just see, and just no one likes it. They don't have to put it in.
It was filler, is what it was. I mean, it was just something to put in the castle to kind of fill in the blanks. This takes a cue from that, but I think the colors are a little bit brighter. They probably, in some ways decrease some of the details because it was a drawing.
Yeah.
But they've kind of put in as much as they could with, the parts they have available or probably will be using for other stuff. So I think it's cool, it's a cool thing to have. I would not be surprised if we got a recolored version of this later down the road for retail, whether they switch parts or they add to it or it's used in other stuff. But
even though it's the Lords of Power retail line, no extra detail colors.
Yeah.
It's pretty much basic. So I actually am glad I have the power conversion, which definitely looks way more like the comic, a lot more detail, very cool. So even
and we'll get to the Lords of Power stuff here in a minute, but the other stuff that comes in this Castle Grayskull set is that
super exciting.
You've got the Spirit of Grayskull smoke thing that
I don't
will
know why a
over
stupid
above.
crystal clear plastic ghosty skull head, and I'm like, yay, because it was in that one mini comic everyone talks about. I always made a joke like, oh wow, Castle Grayskull farted, and it was that. And it was like, to me, but I always felt like that would be so cool to have, because as a kid,
I mean, it's iconic. It's iconic to those original, comics. So
and we never have enough skull stuff in kids' toys. It's the Skeletor, Scareglow, and now we have the farting in Castle Grayskull skull. There's not a lot of skull stuff in toys as a kid.
Yeah.
So getting the farty, smoke, gassy the after effects of a chilly night at Castle Grayskull is just so cool to me, because the Spirit of Grayskull is one of those things like, well,
it's the B-side of Taco Tuesday.
It always has to be, right? But it's beautiful. So how well do you feel it looks compared to like the actual drawing?
It's a little different. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The drawing from the mini comics, I've seen some 3D printed stuff that looks really close to the artwork in the mini comics. This, of course, it may be the photo, but I mean, the eyes are a little bit different and so forth, but it's still cool. You still know what it is. So I'm excited about it. Also, what I'm really excited about is we've got the castle dungeon, which is actually a piece that looks like it's going to lay into this, because like in the castle, when you put the sticker on, the way it is, in retail, there is kind of this little cutout area that, you lay the sticker on. And to me, it looks like this piece that the from PowerCon is going to lay into this little section. And then, there's a tentacle that's coming up. I don't know if we've seen everything. I'm wondering if there's going to be other pieces that go in there that you can switch out. Maybe not, but
well,
I bet it's something that if it's not included now, it's definitely something I feel like could be included later.
Yeah, probably because we haven't seen the great side. We only seen what they showed in this one promotional image. And what's cool is, like you said, you got the tentacle coming up. I'm really curious to see that. Yeah, there's probably gonna be more in there.
Yeah,
and I'm excited for that alone. And I love like the the fact that they're thinking stuff out, because I always wonder when we looked at I think we might have mentioned this when we were talking on your show about the castle when the prototype image leaked, like that lip.
Yeah.
Why was there a lip at the bottom? Why is it elevated? Just why is that there? Now you see, oh, they added that. That means maybe they might add more stuff. If you notice,
well, I'm gonna jump in here. This is not a PowerCon exclusive. This is something that's coming out like probably in June, July. Is the Wind Raider?
Yes.
And we've seen the Wind Raider has a stand and sort of this little diorama base. Yep. From what I'm understanding, that connects to the castle, the outside of the castle, in some way, whether it's like it literally attaches or it just sort of complements it. I don't know.
Well, you see it in that Wind Raider image, because we haven't even talked about that. We'll jump back and forth, but it's going with the castle, so we have to keep it. There's like a little computer box, like this thing, right? So obviously that where did that come from? This part of Castle Grayskull, is that something they can add? And yeah, I'm thinking like they're really thinking modular, which was about time.
So if Mattel, you're watching this, think modular for Eternia. That's all I'm saying. We can have little bits and pieces. Just
get the real blast first before we start jumping about modular pieces to Eternia. Let's just give me my figures, and not Walmart exclusives. All right, but yes.
All right, you want Rio Blast? I do too. But give us King Randor. Please give us King Randor.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously going to happen. I mean, they already
I'm
have
sorry,
their own.
give me King Randor. I mean, you know.
Okay, so that was the first set. The second set. Now let's get to the second set. I think we should talk about the Faker, Leo
Yeah, that's
Faker,
what I was gonna say.
and
Let's talk about that
Duplicate,
first.
because that's
So we're getting a regular retail version of Faker.
Mhm.
The fact that we're getting this Leo Faker, was it from India or Argentina that this came
India,
from?
India,
Okay.
Leo Faker's India.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, of course, Mattel licensed out things to Argentina, to India, and those factories kind of gave it their own
Spin.
artistic spin. The Leo Faker has this like weird mask or different kind of eyes, and he got Skeletor. He still had the orange armor, but he got Skeletor's loincloth, and he got the orange Havoc staff. And we're getting a version of that for
Actually,
PowerCon.
I've seen some in package vintage Leo Fakers. He even actually came with the orange sword.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, I didn't know he did. I found an image. I don't know if it was on eBay selling, but the sword actually came out from behind him and it was in front of the logo, which was packed inside the plastic bubble.
Yeah.
And the sword's there. So maybe not all had the sword, but it definitely, when I saw it, definitely did have. So there was at least a variant that came with the sword and the Havoc staff, not just the Havoc staff.
Okay. But anyway, it's a really cool design. And we're getting it as a PowerCon exclusive because it's one of those things that fans know of and really want, the hardcore fans. But we're getting it, this Origins version. And it also comes with his own Faker Battle Cat called Copycat. Is that what it's called?
No. That was Joe Amato's custom.
Okay, because that's been floating around the internet, and I kind of get it mixed up, but
it's actually called Duplicat.
Duplicat. Okay.
Now Joe Amato, he's made his own version, but there's many people over the years have made a Faker Battle Cat.
Well, I mean, it's something that like it's almost a given that you've got a Faker He-Man. Of course, you got to have a Faker Battle Cat too. So,
but at the same time, I feel that it's a great looking set, and it's interesting that he comes with these metal claw hands. I'm curious if those are removable or if those are just attached. What was the idea of, hey, let's make Duplicat have these claws? Why would you tool something if it wasn't from something or necessary for later? Made me think about how there's two new cartoon shows. You have the Revelations and you got this other kid-friendly one. And the images that's going around are claws on Battle Cat on that one. Curiosity, my curiosity is, hey, what was if they use this to then use it again for that cartoon show toy line? Not saying that's what they're doing.
I mean, I have a feeling that there is a master plan that nothing is
wasted.
Yeah, nothing's wasted. Nothing is a one-off.
No.
So
not with this. Mattel is going back to their roots of making sure they make something, they're going to reuse the shit out of it, which is fine. But you saw that, and I looked at that. I'm like, okay, the paint scheme, it's easy, it's Battle Cat, but the claws, I'm like, okay, well, that makes it more of a. Because if you look at other than the claws, it's just basically a repaint set, which is fine. PowerCon is just a repaint, but with those claws added, now you have an exclusive of items that, right as of now, does not exist anywhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the third set.
So, the third set is, of course, the Evil Horde. I was wondering, because, I've taken clues from the artwork, because I think last PowerCon in 2020, when they did virtually, one of the things that was said is nothing is there by accident or,
they would not let someone draw something unless it's going to exist.
Yeah. That's at least how I took it. Whether that's literally what they said, I don't remember. But when we've been seeing, Horde members pop up, we've seen, I know we've seen Modulok. Have we seen Modulok? We've seen Grizzlor. We've seen the Horde Troopers. I'm speculating here. I'd have to go back.
Well, I'm trying to remember, because if we're looking at, do we count the 2020 PowerCon exclusives, because the back of that artwork, I think, showed Catra and showed some other stuff. I mean, do
Yeah,
you
I'm
count
thinking
that?
of the stuff that like came out in retail. That's
Okay, if we're
literally
going
on the
retail,
box art. So, like, you
I'm
know,
not too sure. Yeah.
on Castle Grayskull, there was Fisto, and there's some of these other little Easter eggs. I'm assuming we're getting stuff, but we saw Horde Troopers on the box art, and so I just assumed that's coming. We saw Hordak before Hordak came out. On some of these images of the newer figures that are hitting, like Fisto and so forth, that are hitting like in Asia right now. We saw what is it? The twirly mace He-Man thing with the vac metal. I bet he was in the artwork. So I'm assuming we're going to see him. But anyway, I'm going a long way around to get to the point. I tend to do that. We've got 2 Horde Troopers that are in the PowerCon pack. We know they're coming to retail, the regular like versions of them. But these are going to be, one's black and one's red. Then we've got Grizzlor, who's coming, and he's got the fur, but he's got the dark face, which was the really rare variant.
Basically, the darker plastic fur, because it's also in the arms and legs as well. So it's darker all over, which is a very rare version.
Yeah.
People have to remember, PowerCon isn't releasing a figure that existed in the 80s. They're making variants, stuff that either rare, maybe overseas, stuff we didn't get. They're taking what they can.
Or fan customs, because I don't know that these red and black Horde Troopers, I think, were like European fan customs.
Well, okay, I'm doing a whole video on that. Let me just kind of clue you guys in a little bit.
Well, hold on 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then we're also getting a Filmation blue color Hordak with the arm cannon. So
which is allowed now. Okay, before people jump the gun, Filmation is not technically included with Masters at retail, but since this is a PowerCon small run, they can get away with it without calling it Filmation. It's just a variant.
This was also a style guide coloring too. So in the Mattel,
which is always the excuse that we got away with classics. So we're using it again for retail for the PowerCon exclusives. Now it's expensive, so PowerCon knows their history. So they go, hey, this is such a rare, weird one-off that the diehards know what this is. And regardless if you don't know, it's kind of cool to have black Horde Troopers kind of remind you of the He-Man movie.
Yeah.
And then red kind of harkens back to Star Wars with the Royal Guard. So either way, your brain can attribute those colors. So like these could be the Horde Trooper Royal Guards, and these could be like the Shock Trooper Horde Troopers. So either way, you can make up your own fan fiction with these characters because the color schemes are just gorgeous. That Horde Trooper could be colored any way you want. You can make them dark green, have military troopers. You can make them blue, make them aquatic troopers. Like there's no wrong color scheme that would work with them.
I just hope that when we actually get, the traditional gray Horde Troopers, that we that Mattel produces enough of them that they are at retail, and we can actually army build characters for the first fucking time in the line in 40 years.
Now, here's my question to you. I was looking at the images of the PowerCon Horde Troopers. They look like they still have the button on the chest.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me too. It looks like you can hit the button and they'll collapse like the vintage one. That's what it looks like. I mean,
My curiosity is I hope it's something a little different so we don't not have the ability to swap parts, because that's a big thing about the Origins line that I really, really like, swapping parts, and they've been kind of slacking on it.
This is like out of left field speculation here, but I just want to know what your take is. When they do Thunder Punch He-Man, do you think they're going to do the little gun cap things?
No, caps are banned.
I mean, I can still find them at my own Walmart, but
they're not. No toy company that's mass retail wants to be involved with that. It's a firework, and some states might have a ban on it because if you get too many of them, they can, it's a hard thing to sell. And with that
So
being said, they might
here's
just
what I think they should do. Keep the backpack, keep it exactly the way it is, you know, even give us the punch mechanism if you can.
Mm.
But you know, the whole gimmick was that it was, well, other than the smoke and the smell, but it was a sound effect. So why not put like just a sound effect in the backpack? I mean, microchips are so tiny now.
Wait, how about something even easier? Putting something that actually rubs a clacker together, like a plastic or a metal clack. So as you clack, 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 that will make the effects, the punching clack, you know. That's all you really need to do. I don't want any of that because I'm pissed with Battle Armor He-Man that there was parts I couldn't swap.
Yeah.
And you promised that this line was supposed to be swappable, and I couldn't take what the arms couldn't come off because of the mechanism. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, and then Roboto's head couldn't come off. And
well, if they don't do the mechanism and he, you know, doesn't throw the punch, what they'll, I would be fine with the thing like we had in classics with the you know.
They could legitly just remake it. It will fit Origins because I have it for. I have it. I have the classics parts. I sold Thunder Punch He-Man, but I kept the sword, shield, and his punching blasting hand.
Yeah.
And they look great. It looks great. And it will work, and they will fit perfectly over those hands. There's no problem. I'm fine with that. The PowerCon exclusives, all in total, when they revealed it, I think we all messaged each other and we all geeked out because these are all perfect. And you know it's made with love from people who understand the fans, the diehard fans.
Yeah.
And if you're not a diehard fan, you could actually just say, you know what, I don't need a Leo Faker. I'm going to get regular Faker. And that's true. You don't need to have it.
Right.
The Horde Troopers, you don't need to have a black and red Horde Trooper. You can get the regular Horde Troopers because they're not from the cartoons. People's obsession. That's not from the cartoon show. That's not from the cartoon show. All right, then don't fucking buy it. And you don't have to worry about it. And it'll be enough for everybody else. And the aftermarket will be great. But the add-on for the castle, to me, is a must-own.
Yeah.
For anybody. Regardless if you grew up without the mini comics, you only knew Filmation, there's no way you're not going to tell me you don't want those add-ons for your castle.
I would not be surprised if it's successful and the line is like, you know, great and you can actually get the fucking Castle Grayskull. I'm using fuck a lot. I'm so sorry. If people can actually get the product, and I mean, I get it. We're still in pandemic mode and things are backed up, and you know, I think that's a part of the issue here. But if things move forward and, you know, Castle Grayskull finds its hands into more, you know, people, I would not be surprised if they repaint it, do something, and put some of these things out at retail, like a weapons pack type of situation. I wouldn't mind seeing more Grayskull weapons because we didn't actually get all of them from the vintage line. And if you watched Dan's interview with them, they alluded to the fact that there may be other add-on accessories coming that go on the towers, or I mean, Point Dread kind of comes to mind immediately, but you know, other little bits of things that might go up there. I'd like to see a prototype cannon that might go on there.
Okay.
I'd like to see the finial on the top of the castle. I mean, you know, that could be a clip-on piece. So.
We can like speculate. You can add pretty much anything you need.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things without it looking like it could take it. There seems to be things that could be, like we said, modular. They can add. I'm hoping will be really awesome. An extended floor to add more things for the two halves. Yeah. I would go with it. I mean, a simple thing is an add-on piece to add more of a floor, so it's more of a play set, a real play set, as opposed to just a folding carrying case. Yeah. What the vintage was. It would be awesome. But okay, now